This video is proudly sponsored by Raycon. There are times where I just want to unwind. Just stare at the walls, chill while trying to prevent my mind from gnawing at me for the next video idea. A way I do that is with music. To just sit back on my couch or on the computer and pop in the everyday earbuds. With their custom gel tips, I'm sure to get a comfy fit every time. That's good since they give me 8 hours of playtime per charge. But I know what you're thinking. Times are iffy. I want something that's going to give me value. The good news is that Raycons are roughly half the price of other major brands, yet offer the same quality. Plus, they can work with you so you don't have to pay an arm and a leg at checkout. There are payment plans to help you buy now and pay later. You can get 2 years of product protection for just a few bucks. And don't forget their 30-day satisfaction guarantee. Don't like them, return them for a full refund. You shouldn't need to, though. Over 50,000 5-star reviews can attest to that. I can make this offer even better for you. Click the link in the description box or go to buyraycon.com/utree to get 15% off your Raycon purchase. Heck, you could even buy 2 pairs of them at this rate. Raycons work for any budget, big or small. I just don't know about the Coyotes. May the relocation rumors begin again. The Coyotes needed Tempe to pass the public referendum. It was the sweetest deal the team could get from the area. And Tempe was more than eager to oblige, but the voters had to give their blessing before it could come to fruition. Not to mention a few other things that may have potentially sabotaged the effort. Sounds like a slam dunk. Brand new destination area, minimal public funding, state-of-the-art arena. On the surface, it sounds baffling as to why they'd vote no on it. It wasn't just rejected, it was resoundingly so. Tempe is now dead, and the Coyotes are once again back to square one. Let me put it in layman's terms. The citizens of Tempe chose a toxic landfill. One seeping chemicals into the town's water supply and would have to be cleaned up anyway over the project. That's all you need to hear. I don't believe that the locals rejected the proposal itself, NIMBYs aside. They said no to the Coyotes. In yet another damning testament to a team choosing to cut off its own feet, the team grossly misread the room. They only spent $250,000 on the campaign. Their opposition spent 10 times that amount. And most of that was by local unions who were pissed that out-of-state labor would be used for the project. When team executives are going door to door to try and secure votes, it's over. I've been very critical of the NHL's efforts in Arizona. Not because of the area itself, but because it's been a complete embarrassment for the league. Everything they've tried, the money they poured into it, effort to secure a foothold have all failed miserably. Thinking on it now, this is literally the Atlanta Thrashers saga stretched out for another decade. Even then, I don't know if the Thrashers came close to the lows that the Coyotes have. Atlanta had extremely shitty owners, but never had the utter turmoil on display here. The Thrashers brass at least owned their own damn arena. They were never kicked out of Glendale in a long and painful divorce. They were never nearly booted out during the middle of the season for being delinquent in rent payments. They were never forced to play second fiddle to a college hockey team in an arena that seats less than 5,000 people. But one thing has changed in my stance since starting this shit. The failure of this team here isn't a hockey in Arizona problem. It's a Coyotes problem. The organization is completely toxic, and there has been almost no end in sight to it. Since their plans for a new arena have fallen apart yet again, the players are getting restless. Clayton Keller wants clarification as to the team's future, or else he wants out. Shane Doan, the face of the team as long as they've been here, has left the organization for a better opportunity in Toronto. Fans throughout the hockey world are just frustrated with everything. The NHL abandoned markets for much less before, only to give this team endless chances to bleed hundreds of millions of dollars. It's asinine. I could wax and wane about how terribly run this team is and has been, but you have to identify where it started. Back when the team moved to Phoenix, there was legitimate buzz about the franchise. The Coyotes had fans. Plenty of them. The problem was, like the Thrashers, they never capitalized on it. They lacked postseason success. In their first 6 years in Phoenix, they made it to the first round 5 times. The Coyotes never got past it. A brick wall that seemingly was built just to torture the franchise. And then after that, they just never made the dance. They kept failing, no matter what the hell they did. With no real sustained success, attendance dropped rather significantly. Then came the lockout, and whatever chance they had of building on the honeymoon period was lost. In a non-traditional hockey market, you have to give the locals a reason to come to the games. And when you win only 2 playoff series and a play-in round in a city, that isn't going to come anywhere close to building fandom. They've been poorly run. The executive branch has been spotty at best, and they're currently on year 11 of a 5-year plan. But all that isn't the real issue here. Looking back on it, moving to Glendale was the biggest mistake the franchise made. There were some plans to build in Scottsdale, but they had stalled out. Staying in Phoenix would have been ideal, but the arena itself wasn't built for hockey, and Robert Sarver wasn't keen on sharing his palace with a newcomer. The original plan was to turn Glendale into a destination, replete with a shopping and entertainment district with a state-of-the-art arena as the main attraction. It never worked out. Glendale never got the boom that it was seeking. Not to mention the pesky recession that happened about 5 years after they got there. The move happened with such optimism, but it backfired horrifically. And that's putting it nicely. The team and city bled millions in the endeavor. And things turned so sour neither want anything to do with each other. Which is why Glendale booted them out and now sits bitter at the ordeal. On the other side, chaos. You can't have success in sports without competent people at the top. Atlanta was undone by Atlanta's spirit. Phoenix has been a cavalcade of incompetence. A carousel of self-serving, cancerous parasites that have done more to damage the organization than 1,000 bad teams could dream of doing. The first owners down here were Stephen Gluckstern and Richard Burke, which went haywire after Gluckstern jumped ship to join a group buying the Islanders. After Burke had enough of the desert, he sold to a developer named Steve Ellman. He brought Wayne Gretzky in as a PR face before he decided to put himself in as head coach. After Ellman wouldn't get his dream complex in Scottsdale, he pouted his way out. Enter Jerry Moyes, who was such an honorable man that he threw the team into bankruptcy to try and pull a fast one and sell the team to Jim Ball Silly. Then the NHL itself took over, and ran it like hockey's version of the Montreal Expos as they tried to figure out what the fuck to do with it. They waited to find someone who would keep this rotting carcass here. And that man was George Gaspee. Nobody liked losing more than him. This one ends on a sad note. He tragically died months after selling his stake in the team. And that went to Andrew Barroway. Barroway never cared for the team or its reputation. He struck me as a man who wanted to simply sell the franchise at a profit. A hedge fund manager through and through. But Alex Meruelo was supposed to finally be the one. The man that would bring stability and credibility to a long derelict franchise. An owner who would make inroads with the city, plant their seed in a budding hockey hotbed. The Southwest's Jeff Vinnick. But ever since he bought the team, he's just been as shitty as the rest of them. The embarrassments in the bubble, the extremely toxic work environment, the tension with Glendale. There's nothing here that shows me that Meruelo is the owner that will turn around this franchise. And it wasn't like there weren't any warning signs. The NBA told him to fuck off when he tried to buy the Hawks a decade ago. So now we get to the current point in time. The Coyotes, like many times before in this desert, are back in the same hell they were trying to avoid. No arena deal in sight. Stuck in a college hockey arena where they're a matinee attraction for the next couple of seasons, and hockey fans everywhere frustrated and jaded with the entire ordeal. Yet the NHL and Gary Bettman continue to keep this team on life support when they should have pulled the plug years ago. They're still dead set on staying here. I'd agree with them if there were signals that this could possibly work, but there's nothing pointing to that! I'm going to scream this so there's a chance Bettman can hear. Give up! The time to rectify this situation was a decade ago. And the only reasons this team is still here is because of Bettman's stubbornness and sunken cost fallacy. Where do they go from here? Hope the natives don't rip them off for reservation land? The fifth attempt at Scottsdale? Beg Matt Ishbia to let them back in Phoenix and go back to the same issues that had them leave in the first place? Once again, if you're in the Phoenix area, what have the Coyotes given you to inspire you to become a fan? Years of scandal, shitty ownership, and terrible hockey? The sad thing is that most denizens of the area can smell a rat. And that's how you get a team that's soundly defeated by a toxic landfill at the polls. What frustrates me is that it just keeps dragging on. It's damaging the league. It holds down everything from league revenues to the salary cap to the reputation of the NHL itself. Bettman's defining legacy will be in his expansion of the NHL to non-hockey markets. And the results have been mixed. For every Vegas or Dallas succeeding out of the gate, there's a Carolina or Nashville that takes a while to thrive. Then there's Atlanta and Arizona. They were doomed from the start thanks to terrible ownership, yet Arizona's somehow still here. The Coyotes will continue until morale improves. And the thing is, I wouldn't be against coming back here in the future if they move. Vegas has shown us that hockey can succeed down here if it's marketed correctly. The whole area just got a really bad shake. But there are grassroots efforts being put together, especially by Arizona State. Plus, the area did give us Austin Matthews. That's enough to get kids from the area to put on the skates, right? If only they had something better than the Coyotes to rally around. Everyone involved in this saga needs a fresh start. Myself especially.
Two Blackhawks back as Pyatt shoots in. Pyatt and Jalmerson. Buckner on the puck. Tough angle shot. He scores! The Coyotes